foreshadowing day, man.
Yeah.
It's a great day. I remember every one of my kids doing it. You'll remember this probably your whole life. It's really cool.
It's our first time.
Is that a Reagan?
What's
Is
that?
that a Reagan?
No, he's a junior high now.
Oh.
Yeah, at least Nevo School District, all of our kids did it.
They might do it there too, I don't know.
Yeah, it's fun. Okay, let's get rocking and rolling. What do we got first?
Okay, so this is last month. There are some deals that didn't get put on here, but according to this, 100 deals, average gross of 1,862. That to me is a positive. You know, you guys were doing a great job on the back end, and that's helping. So, okay. Also, last month final. I want to give a round of applause to 800 North. Broke the 50,000 mark. So good job, guys.
Nice.
We can see where everybody else finished. So, okay. Now, by salesperson for last month, fantastic. Ricky, James, both over the 15. Kind of look and see where you are. Hey, welcome. Good seeing you. So let's give. I want to congratulate Ricky and James both. I mean, selling that many cars in a month, especially in January, freaking awesome. So. Okay. This is kind of lame. This is where we are for February, but the other stores aren't at zero. Just nobody's entered anything. But 800 North, tracking pretty damn close to the goal as of wherever we are in the month. You know, if we're to the win. So, and we'll just go through these quick. But Gloria, you're on track for 5. Ricky on track for 20. Awesome. Tom, awesome, on track for 15. So good job up there, you guys. You're working. Who at 800 North's going straight to the store? Okay. James came up with this idea that's fantastic. Who? Here, let's give. Are you going straight to the store? Rafa is, or whoever. Okay. And then I'm going to mail these to Centerville. Springville already has theirs because I hung out there yesterday. So all you do is have your customer, and thank you, James, for figuring this out because it's so convenient.
Like Korean testing.
Just open your camera. You don't even have a special app or anything. Just hold your camera above it, and if you're signed into your Gmail account, it'll take you straight to where you can click the stars and leave the review. So the hope is you're sitting on the desks and you can have customers easily leave reviews.
Or James's idea was you could even tape it right on the back of your computer. So while you're doing the paperwork, just ask them, hey, do you mind giving us a Google review? But then you may forget about it. So maybe back that on the list. So.
Yeah, whatever you guys want to do with them. But I mean, I thought that was a really smart idea. So thank you.
You're too old to be that tech savvy.
It's just kids.
It wasn't me.
Well, I know you didn't create that, but like still, his neighbor did. Clint just told me
I created that code.
Clint just told me how to do it, and I would screw it up.
It was a team effort, but you brought the idea forward, so good job.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to do the spiffs? We got the biggest stack of cash we've ever had. Tyler's going to disperse it. Clint's going to tell us where it goes.
Have you ever held that much cash in your life? That's $1,200, man.
He has never held that much cash before.
So, should we take a picture of you? So we
I'll
can,
do it.
give it.
Fan it out.
Fan, do a fan like that.
You think about 16 years old, you have that money.
Yeah, you wish you had. Okay, I got it.
Nice. Okay, so when you do your job shadow report, it's cool.
Yeah, add that to the report.
Okay, you guys are going to have to help Tyler out, so raise your hand when it's your turn to get some. And holy crap. Okay, Ricky has 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. Do you have like a whole shoebox full of money? Okay, so here's Ricky 4 of those.
$400.
Nice job. That's amazing. Okay, let's see. Bless has 2, so over here on this side. Edge. Is that the black edge?
Yeah.
Yes! Great job! Hallelujah. Fantastic. Okay, let's
Rafa has 2.
Rafa has 2 also, Juke and Mirage, so congratulations. Let's see, James also has 2, Chevy Express and a Chrysler 300. Gloria has 1 right over here. She has a Jeep Compass. Oh, and Marcos has 1.
Yeah, there we go.
Right right here, Hyundai Sonata. Oh, that was Greg Baum's old age car, huh?
Yeah.
Thank you for
the
selling.
That'd be good, Craig. How much did you sell it for?
We dropped the price to $14,995.
Yeah, so did I.
And it sold.
Good.
Almost instantly. So anyway, very happy to have that gone.
Okay, thank you guys. It's fun passing out cash. Okay, so Tyler's got some goals for the year, and one of his goals is in a social part of his life, and he was brave enough, he's trying to get outside his comfort zone around people. He's actually going to share a quick message that's going to be important for what we're doing, and it's good for him. You want notes? All right.
Yeah, we're excited for you. Don't be nervous.
Stand
We're
up.
an easy audience.
You just use your own words if you want.
So, in our family, sometimes our parents will congratulate one of the 3 kids. So there's me, and then my little brother Dallin, and Jessica, and yeah. And so sometimes they'll congratulate one of us, and then the other 2 will feel sad, that we're not appreciated and stuff. But we're trying to learn to we are appreciated, but they're just trying to be nice to one of the kids and stuff. So yeah. And yeah.
That's good for that. That's good. We'll see everything about.
Oh yeah. And when we have to improve when we do something bad, we always think they're being mean to us, but they're really just trying to help us. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, so basically, Tyler and Jessica and Dallin are working on realizing just because one person's praised and someone else isn't, it doesn't mean anything negative about the one that moment wasn't praised. And like Tyler said, just because we have a discussion about something we can do better, doesn't mean we need to feel bad or feel ashamed or feel anything. It's just because we care and we're trying to do better. So with that in mind, I want to talk candidly, quickly, something that we can do better. It doesn't mean that we're not doing freaking awesome. We get tons of good reviews. But just to be genuine, we have to know where we can improve. And if we're too worried about bringing it up, it's going to hurt our feelings, then we can't get better. So this review came in just a few days ago. Tom, you might read it, just the customer part.
This customer service, I was standing on the time talking about some cheap deals with someone at this location.
Okay. I don't know anything else. I replied to the guy, he hasn't called me. So take that for what it's worth. He apparently felt like he should have been, I don't know, offered to go inside or something maybe. I'm just guessing. Okay? Now we're going to try some technology. Let me quickly say, I've probably followed up with 20 of the customers that we've all been working with at different lots. A lot of them at 800 North, but a little bit at all lots. Clint also has called some. Just a very, very quick summary. I'd say maybe all of them, but nearly all of them replied back to me. Either called me back or sent me a text, and we had some kind of interaction. None of them put off any vibe of being annoyed or bothered that I was calling them. Some of them were very grateful and happy that I called them, appreciative of it. And we're going to listen to 2 right now. And again, it's not to embarrass or put anybody on the spot, it's just so we can learn and do better. But we're going to listen to 2 that basically said they were disappointed that the salesperson didn't stay in touch with them. The audio is not the best. I hope it works. If not, I have another way we can try it. We should probably go full volume. Where's the It's like a minute and a half and a 3-minute call. I spoke. Tyler had a way to use
Well, I don't know how to say it. I was very interested in the vehicle. The white Ford, I don't know how to say it. I got it written down a lot.
a white F-150 area.
And the price tag on it was $25,900 some. Right? And they said this, I don't know what's going on, and I said, give me your best price, it's very interesting. So that's all, they were talking about, and I don't know if it was you, like, and he said, look, let's go $35,000. I said, look, I said, sounds good. He said, but if somebody going to the bank right now, that's one purchase a truck vehicle right now. I said, okay. He goes, they have first step on it. So that's fine. I said, how many you know? Tomorrow. Next day I called back. Well, we're still waiting on this guy. I said, okay. 5 days passed. I think I kept it in there. I go, so did this guy take the bids or not? No, but we decided that we would rather lose business than to drop the price.
That's what they told you?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. And I'm sure you've probably been talking with lots of dealerships about lots of trucks. It happens, I mean, it's so quick.
I probably have it on a piece of paper at home. He had an accident. I was just, well, I'm looking at that. I don't want to get anybody fired.
No.
Here's what he did. I got a Texas test.
Okay.
And if I can dig it up, this particular I'm very picky, big with what I want. I want a wider black, I want a 2.7 engine, I want a black interior, and they're kind of hard to come by.
I know. My personal truck is an F-150 Platinum, black with black interior. And it took me a while to get it, and I'm a dealer, I go to auctions. So they are a little hard to come by.
I looked at this one because it was what I was actually looking for, to pretty decent for me. But this one stopped right there, I let me fly there. I can't wait on you, I'll get you here. I leave all this in.
And I know I caught you in the middle of stuff, and I appreciate you. Even if we don't end up helping out on the truck, this feedback.
We'll pause this one. And I know it's hard to hear. I was on the call, so I can tell you, but in a nutshell, he forwarded me a bunch of texts that he had about this. In a nutshell, my takeaway is, and this dude's like out of state. He found a truck that he liked. He was told he could buy it for 35 grand, and that other people were buying it. He called back the next day, didn't, blah, blah, blah. Finally, 5 days later, he checks in again. Basically, felt like he was getting yanked around, and then told, well, we can't really sell it to you for the $35,000 that we promised. And so he was obviously frustrated about that, but more about not getting followed up with, in my opinion. And I've talked to him on the phone and texted him since then. He found the exact truck he wanted. He would have paid $35,995 just because he's a negotiator. He asked for the best price. He really, in my opinion, just wanted to feel good about the situation. Like he was, in my opinion, asking to buy it. You can hear him saying, I'm very interested, I like this truck, it's exactly what I want. So, okay, the other one's shorter, and again, I'm sorry the audio is kind of hard.
One of our dealerships, and I wanted to see if you're still looking, and if you are, how I can help with the process.
Oh, are you Automat?
Yes, Automat, got it.
Oh, yeah, Ed was working with you, but kind of fell off the radar.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm kind of going around I'm going around to the dealerships, talking to some of the sales guys, and just calling a few customers. Somehow I got your number.
Oh, well, thanks. I sent in some pictures of my car and the mileage, the VIN, and all that information, and I didn't hear from him for quite a while, so I just gave up on it.
Well, that's not cool.
The text from him a couple days later that said, well, we can only give you $5,000 for your car, which is just ridiculously low. So I am not in the ballpark to be able to get the car that I wanted because I didn't get enough for my trade-in, so I gotta go look somewhere else.
Gotcha. Okay. So from when you gave him, I'm kind of calling, I guess, for two reasons. One, quality improvement on our end, and two, to see if I can help on your end. But from when you provided him the info, how long did it take for him to get back in touch with you?
I gave up after 24 hours. It wasn't the same day. And then it was maybe way late the next day. So it was close to 48 hours before I heard back from him.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We should definitely
Okay. So I don't know really anything else to be said. I just want to pass it on. Customers think in pretty short time frames, obviously. So we might be thinking 24 hours, hey, that's fine time to get back. Obviously for him that was too long. He felt like that was time to give up after 24 hours. So just awareness. People want to they want to know what's going down. So anything you want to add?
No, I mean, we're just gonna learn, so enough said. And we'll keep doing more and more of this. There's calls, at least through Auto Trader, apparently they recorded some of the sales calls, so we'll start listening to some of these. And, I mean, share your experience with them that you shared with me about how it went for you when this started happening in your sales meetings.
Oh, yeah, so the owner of the Ford dealership where I worked got signed up with some company that was going to record all of our phone calls. This is back when that technology was like crazy cutting edge, like it blew us away. So we didn't know that he was doing it. She recorded all of our calls, and then in sales meeting, we all had our calls just played in front of the group. And I was freaking horrible. Like, I thought I was pretty good on the phones, I really did, and then I heard myself, and it was bad. And I even hear myself now, and I think, man, I could improve a lot. And I still can, but it motivated me because I don't want to be embarrassed in meetings. And that's not, and our point is not to embarrass. Remember Tyler's message. That I swear is not the goal. The goal is just to improve. But his goal back then was to embarrass, and I got good. I got really good on the phones, and I sold a lot of cars on the phones. Again, the tactic maybe wasn't the best, but for me, it got me to do better. So, anyway.
Yes, so enough said on that.
Yep.
Right? So basically the two things we've covered so far, selling back in, following up. I noticed some log sheets in Springville when I was there the other night. There's more names on there, so great job. So I mean, just keep remembering, sell back in, follow up with our customers, okay?
And just on the plus, there are lots of good Google reviews, and I also talked to lots of customers, and I would be wrong to not say this. I talked to lots of customers that said, Gloria was great, Ricky was great, Rafa was great. There was a ton of good feedback too, that they had great experiences. And that was overwhelmingly how it was. I did pick these two because I wanted to listen out, but generally it was very positive.
Okay, moving on. So last week we were talking about building value, and we used this representation of this scale. When we build enough value, that's when the customer tips over and buys the car. We talked about a bunch of different things, and you guys were very helpful as far as giving ideas about some things that can be helpful. Well, when we start drilling down and think about that, in my opinion, each buyer will typically have 2 or 3 things that's kind of their big thing, their hot button. So I represented that as kind of a bigger weight. Remember we were using a bunch of these smaller weights, like the appearance of the location and maybe Google reviews is a big one. But anyway, we're using a bunch of small ones. But then there's some big hot buttons that each person has. And the crazy thing is that they're different for each person, right? So what we want to talk about today is how to find out what the big hot buttons are for each customer. Make sense? We're trying to find out what the biggest heavy weight is, so we'll tip them over and make them buy the car. Okay? So we want to watch this video really quick. Start out. This one. So that one small.
It's time for Gotham to meet the new Harley Quinn. Oh,
Okay, so this is Sherlock Holmes going into a crime scene. Joke there.
it's annoying.
think?
Not much. She's German. Rache. German for revenge. You could be trying to tell us.
Why did we watch that video? Marcus.
Well, I mean, it seems like he's looking for ways to find out what happened.
Ooh, right, he's looking for clues, right? To scratch the fingernails. Oh wait, she's left-handed because she scratched. So he's a detective, and being a detective means paying attention to small, teeny details. So how does that help us think about finding out what the big hot buttons are for the customers? Whoops.
You find what they're looking for?
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna basically turn into detectives, pay attention to everything that they see, that they do, so that we can find out what the big hot buttons that they have are, right?
Can I just add, the hot buttons may have to do with the vehicle, and they may have to do with the experience. They likely have to do with both. So it's often not just, I want four-wheel drive, I want this or that. It's a lot deeper than just that.
Okay, do you guys remember the exchange that JD and I had last sales meeting? We were talking about the miles on the cars. Okay, use your detective skills and think about if JD was a customer, and if I was a customer, what were some of the things that were big motivating factors for each of us? Okay, so what was a big motivating factor? You guys remember the conversation?
You want slow mileage, you want high mileage, or you want forward.
Okay,
So pretty much you gotta try to find everything that matches what you're looking for.
okay, okay, awesome. Who else?
Have you ever seen what's the difference, or like selling glasses?
Right?
Have you ever seen them sell
Uh-huh. Yeah, usually it's to do with the pen, but right?
Right. Like the features and benefits.
Uh-huh.
I say that all the time.
Yeah. So what we're trying to find is, because you're exactly right, feature, advantage, benefit, they don't care if it has anti-lock brakes until they know what it does for them, right? But how do we know that they care about anti-lock brakes? Then we would have to know that they care about safety, right? So what would be a clue? How can we find out what the people care about?
What do you like about the car you're driving now?
Perfect.
What I like about my yellow Corvette is that it's freaking badass looking. Like, it sticks out in a crowd, and the price of Corvettes is amazing for the performance. Like, it's just such an amazing value. Okay, detective work, Ricky. What's my hot button?
Value.
Okay, tell me more about it.
You're getting under your butt, I guess.
Nice. Okay, and what was my other thing?
Retention. Yeah, getting attention from it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so then, now you know what motivates me. Now what are you gonna do in your sales pitch to me? What are you gonna talk about?
You see this, man, can't you see yourself driving this down the street, stopping over the stop, pulling over the stoplight?
This is gonna turn every head in town.
Yeah.
This thing's
everything,
freaking.
yeah.
This is badass.
Yeah.
You're gonna use that kind of language and that kind of emotion. And, what was the other thing? That was important to me.
Well, and yeah, and you're paying for the buck for this Hellcat. I mean, they sell this thing, brand new. It's a supercar, right? It's got 700 horsepower, and it goes as fast as a little bit slower than a Lamborghini, right? But it's still considered a supercar. And you pay $200,000 for it, man. It's only 43.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, so for me, the hot button was bang for the buck, right? Okay. Let's try something else. Who else wants to beat the customer? Thought of who's bought a car and can think about a specific experience. Rafa. Hey Rafa, when you bought that black Suburban that you have, what was exciting about that car for you?
Space. I want to put space, always I like Denali's, people are gonna look at me like, with Denali. It's high mileage, but the people, they don't know, they don't always has a high mileage. but I finally tonight, that's what I do.
Nice. So, what were the couple things?
Yeah, so somebody here.
Glory, what was he excited about that vehicle?
Well, he's looking for a space and he likes that, the attention as well, because he's like, yeah, I like the dynamic, people like to just look at, they don't know about the other stuff, they care more about space in the house.
Nice.
Space and luxury.
The luxury, yeah. And I might add, and I don't know for sure, but as my detective skills kick in, I think it makes Rafa feel like he's successful, he looks successful to other people, it's kind of a status symbol. He feels good about himself, that he's been able to afford a nice vehicle like that. So are those somewhat true for your situation?
Yeah.
Rafa doesn't look successful, he is successful.
No, I know. He shows it by the top of the line. They make 5 levels of those and they're always the highest.
Do we have to pay attention for the details that the customer doesn't even care?
Okay, so if I understand what you're saying,
He just mentioned that he doesn't even care the mileage.
the fuel economy, or yeah.
And he said like, it's a high mileage, so it means that he doesn't even care, the mileage, so high or not.
Good detective work.
So for that customer, do you need to focus a lot on trying to overcome the miles?
Or he gets, the kind of low price, high mileage, something that he likes probably.
Yeah. So you don't have to spend a bunch of your energy trying to overcome miles, because he already knows the miles and he doesn't care, right?
Yeah.
But what you should be doing, so now you're selling him the next car, you already know in your mind, you're Sherlock Holmes. You're like, ding, 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 I have a Denali, it has 250,000 miles on it, but it's a 2015, so it's the new body style and it looks awesome, and the price is super low. And so when you talk to him, you're not going to really stress the miles. What are you going to stress?
I would still stress the warranty too, because if he's gonna go shop around, then he's gonna go look at other dealers that have those cars with high miles that are not gonna offer a warranty on them.
Pero ¿qué pasa si le estás hablando en un idioma que él no entiende? What if you're talking to him in a language he doesn't care about or understand?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you can. I'm not saying you
Could
can't.
you build, but I could
Use that as a tool though to build more value and differentiate us from the other ones that we're looking at.
Yeah, but what was his two main things? Remember what he said. What did he say first? Or what did he say first? Remember what he liked the best? What's that?
The space.
Okay, he liked the utilities, so the space, so he has a big family, he likes a big car, and what was the second thing?
The fact that the social.
Yeah, the social
I
status.
think you latch on to the emotion of how he's going to feel when he drives that car.
Right.
That's very key what you just said. Latch on to the emotion of how he's going to feel. We're going to talk more about that.
It's the same thing with motorcycles. If you're a sport guy, you're gonna go for a sport motorcycle. If you're more like a bag, except for Honda.
James
Is that his It's not true.
That's great.
How do we against that?
That's James.
Call your son. Maybe you can do it.
Let's suppose that you're writing a really important email.
That's how it ends.
Okay. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So we're going to advance to the next one. So you guys, somebody mentioned, I don't know who already mentioned it, or JD mentioned a really good question. One of the ways that I've found really good, and I would propose that we can experiment with as a group, is just asking customers about what they liked about their last vehicle, or start off with, say you're on the lot, you're walking around, they drove in a car almost always. Maybe they're going to trade, maybe they're not. It doesn't matter for what I'm about to say. As you're walking by it, casually say, hey, I noticed your whatever car. How long have you had it? Some casual. Whatever, they'll tell you, we bought it a few years ago or whatever. Oh, cool. Do you mind telling me where you bought this one? Do it just in like a curious, inquisitive tone of voice, not like you're interrogating them. And then just hopefully get them talking about where they bought it, and then maybe say, hey, just, I'm always trying to know more about my profession, and I'm trying to improve myself. How did that experience go for you? If you've built a little bit of rapport, because you've been out showing them cars, and you're starting to like it, they'll usually open up and start telling you about how it went when you bought that car. And if you're detective and you're listening, you're going to pick up on some stuff that's really important to them in an experience of buying a car. And you're going to pick up on some stuff. They're mostly going to tell you some negative stuff, honestly. They're going to start saying, oh, this and that and the other. I called and talked to a couple different people about this just in the past 2 days preparing for the meeting, and I wanted to have a recorded call for us to dissect it a bit more. Maybe if I'm out on the lots, I can try it live and you can hang out with me. But you'll be surprised how often they'll get talking about the experience, about the vehicle, and you'll be getting all these really good clues. And they'll just think that you're just a nice guy that's curious about them, which you are. But you're getting clues on how to now tailor your whole conversation to the 2 or 3 things that are actually going to make the difference in enough value that they want to buy. So, okay, so that's kind of what I talked about here. Clint already talked about this. There's just so many value things that exist. We can't focus on all of them. I threw this on here only because I want to re-emphasize this price versus value thing is not something that we made up. Just jump on the internet and type price versus value. It applies to every product, including cars. When there's more value on the scale than there's price, that's when people want to exchange money for the value. I mean, it's pretty easy. Would I rather have these bags or this bag? I'd rather have these. That's why I made that decision. If it's the opposite, if the price is way too much compared to a little bit of value, well, why would I exchange my money? There's no value. There's not enough value.
So this pisses me off so much. I came home the other night and there was a toolkit on my counter. Yeah, 2 toolkits on my counter. Honey, what are these for? And I was like, I have tools, but I don't. What are you doing? She's like, oh, they were on sale. Can you stop spending money on stuff we don't need, please? She's like, but they were only $6 from 15. I'm like, I don't think you on. That's her, and she thinks that we don't even have it.
The saying I always remember is, elephants on sale for a dime a dozen is only a good deal if you need elephants and you have a dime. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it sounds like, well, I can get 12 freaking elephants for 10 cents. That's a good deal. Well, just like you're saying, if you don't need the elephants, then you spend a dime for nothing.
Right.
Anyway.
But if someone can explain to you why it would be great to have elephants,
Yeah.
you can use them to pull trees to the brush, you can start a logging business,
They can crush your neighbors.
they can smash your neighbor's house, and suddenly, yeah, they're building value, and so
She sold me. Then we got their Christmas, and I'm like, it's January. Like, what are you doing?
Think of the money saved.
No.
Okay, so this, this is a real thing. That's all I'm saying. I think Clint kind of already touched on this. How can we know which of all these different things actually matter for the customer in front of us right then? If I'm working with Eric, I want to talk about things that matter to Eric. It doesn't matter what JD thinks right now if I'm working with Eric, and vice versa. So the customer we're with is what we care about. And I already talked about this. Again, just to experiment on it. Just try it. Have fun with it. It's something different to talk about. Just the same way that we're all pretty comfortable talking about it if they're wearing a sports team that we're into, and you guys are all really natural at bringing that up. This is just a step further with doing that. But now, your gathering information is way more pertinent than just who was the top scorer in the last game. We can just go around and each read these. There's so many questions. This is just to get us started, So, I don't know, do you want to start, Mary? Just read the top.
Not so much what you want, but why do.
Okay, and then the why behind the what. So, again, Clint mentioned this is old school stuff with analog breaks because it's old technology. Well, let's use a backup camera. The backup camera is useful because you won't run into people or run over stuff. The value is that. The value is not just taking can see what's behind you. Now that one's maybe overly simplistic, but the why behind what they want. Why does Clint want a yellow Corvette? Well, we just talked about the real reasons why. What is flashy for good value? Why does he want it? It's because of how it makes him feel when he drives it. So the why is way more important than the why. The way we figure out the why is asking questions. That they're wondering.
You tell me exactly what you like to accomplish.
Okay. Next one. I don't think we need to discuss them all. This is just to help us get some new questions in our vocabulary that might get the people talking about their hot things. Anyone off it?
I can appreciate that.
So this is more of a follow-up. So I want to accomplish blah, blah, blah. I can appreciate that. Why is it important to you? So I wrote that one. You want to do the next one, Russ?
Right here. How is it going to improve the quality of your life?
Okay. Another reason why?
How important is that you make this purchase?
Yeah, how important is it that you make this purchase? Okay. A variation on that is, let's say I'm working with a customer and they tell me X, Y, Z is important to them. A good follow-up, let's just say that they tell me, hey, I really need white or silver. Okay, cool, I can appreciate that, Marcos. If the right vehicle came along, everything matched, but it wasn't in white and silver, would you like me to at least tell you about it so you can consider it? Or is the white and silver holding fast?
Yeah.
You at least want me to let you know? Okay, I'll keep that in mind. If a gray one or something comes that seems great, I'll tell you about that. So, anybody want to add anything?
I mean, just like as I'm just thinking about this right now, one thought, I just jumped away, but as we're using our detective eyes and our ears, I mean, we can look at things like the license plate frame on the car where they bought it, the sticker that's on it, how many stickers are on the license plate, that will, like how long they've kept this thing for. You can look at the way that they keep their vehicle and, how the cleanliness and the dirtiness of it. You can see the ads that are sitting there in the business cards from the other salespeople in the center console.
Know how far into the process they are.
Right. The way their demeanor is, if both, if the husband and the wife are both there, if they have, maybe people don't do checks anymore, but if they have like their checkbook sticking out, of their pocket or in their back pocket or something like that, you just become a detective and you're looking for all these teeny little signs that you're observing, and then as you're talking to them and going through these kind of questions, the way that they respond, the way that they talk, you're gonna use the detective work, you're gonna be Sherlock Holmes, and then you're gonna use that information to change your presentation so you don't just get the same presentation the same way every time. You're gonna change it to suit the person. So you're speaking their language. So your words are hitting heavy like this big-headed mess, and you're freaking talking to it. Make sense?
Exactly. I think we're good on that one. So the next thing that I want to touch on, it's amazing, it's absolutely amazing, the millions of dollars of research that's gone into the process people go through to buy something. When you think about how big our economy is, our industry is, I'm not just talking cars, just purchasing in general. So they've studied this to death. There's some amazing articles, we're not going to have time to even go into them.
Where's that one?
I'll forward it to you if you want.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
I love that stuff.
I mean, it is fantastic, because I've been reading some of them, I just can't even emphasize. Here's another one right here, I'll forward it to you. This one's called Facts versus Emotions, when to use each tactic to make a sale. Again, this is from Harvard Business School, and it's not related just to car sales. If you want to go to the next slide. All that I want to take from it right now, without digging into all the amazing reasons why, because we don't necessarily need to know all the reasons. Like for those of us that like lifting weights, we don't need to know all the chemistry and physiology and everything behind what makes the muscle grow. We just need to know lifting heavy weights and the muscle grows. We don't need to know why. In order to do our jobs, we don't need to know everything in these articles. I think it's fascinating. But what we do need to know, and this is what I want to talk about for a minute, is emotions versus logic. And I've been wrong at how I think about this until just recently when I started studying it more. If I were to ask each of you, and be thinking of it, which is better to use when you make a purchase decision? Logic or emotion? What would you say?
Both.
Okay, so Clint thinks both.
I would use logic.
Clint would say logic.
Logic 100%.
Logic 100%.
Emotion.
Emotion. Okay. Me personally, I felt logic for sure, and I like the inner dialogue I would have with myself is, no, I'm a logical person. I base my decision on facts. People who decide on emotion are short-sighted. They don't look at the big picture. They're just being impulsive, and they're going to regret their decision later. Like, that's kind of in my view. As I'm studying this and learning about it, I'm realizing it's not true, and I'm actually an emotional buyer. I really am. I just didn't realize it. I told myself I was a logical buyer. It's hard to explain the reason why without going into too much of the detail, but as they've done the studies, our emotional, intuitive side is much more successful in making good decisions than our logical side when it comes to anything that has more than 2 or 3 variables. So if it's a low purchase item, you know, which candy bar to buy or whatever, our logical side actually wins out. Our logical side is the most effective at making a good choice. Once it comes to anything that has more than 2 or 3 variables, and at high purchase stuff especially, and this Harvard article does have a few paragraphs on buying used cars, our emotional side, hands down, does a better job. However, the logic matters because that's part of how emotions get created. So the facts and the figures and the surroundings and the interactions and everything influence our emotions. And then this term gut feel is actually right. We go with our gut. When all of a sudden all this magic happens in our body and in our mind and in our soul, and we feel like this is the thing to do, we do it. And it's based on emotion with facts. So with all that in mind, what I'd like to do, and Tyler, can you write it down for us? Tyler's going to write down, I'd like just to brainstorm positive emotions. So good emotions that we would want to have or that our customers would want to have when we're buying a car. We have to phrase them in positive. So I'm going to just throw one out. I would want to feel relaxed when I was making them. Like I'd feel better about a relaxed experience. So that's one positive emotion for me. But
I would want to feel secure about the car. I'd want to feel like it wasn't going to break down.
his security.
What would you want? Should we have everyone
Let's just
say
go
one?
around. Let's just all say one. I mean, there's enough positive emotions.
What would you want?
Secure.
Since you never get to buy your cars.
They just show up in the garage.
Hey, look what we got.
Well, when you're buying a house, how about that?
Yeah, I kind of feel good about what I'm buying, that it's
Okay,
gonna
good.
be, a good car, you know.
Very good. You want to feel good.
Yes.
And that's an emotion, so kind of look good. Okay?
I definitely will be happy during the
Happy.
process. Okay.
Going to feel hurt, I guess. They're listening.
We hear what you're saying, but we're not gonna do anything about it.
Well, we hear you.
We hear you.
Comfortable.
Oh, good one, Gloria. Comfortable.
Excited.
We forget about that. Like, we're in the battle, the people are like really kind of scared when they're with us. But as soon as they go home, they're like, dude, I bought a new car, I bought a new truck. They're so excited about it, right? Like, they're super excited they took their kids for a ride. What?
Throw a C in there, dude.
Yeah.
Back to that.
Well, I want to feel exited.
Like, oh, it's over. Get out of here.
We'll just try to-
So this is what I want to feel when I'm buying a vehicle?
Yeah.
Or through this experience, the shopping experience for a car. Either what you want or what you think your customer will want.
I don't know, I'm not good with those letter things. People call words.
We can come back to you.
Well, like, I want to, maybe you can just tell me, like, I want to feel like, they're not, like, I'm just honest, and like, sometimes people don't respect that. Like, and so, just be honest with me, like, don't give me, I don't know how to put that into words.
Yeah, so I would put that into a positive emotion.
Respected, maybe, yeah?
Well, let's put respected, and I'll be thinking more, you don't want to feel like you're being lied to or taken advantage of or tricked.
Okay, but I don't know what the words,
Yeah, what's a positive emotion?
That they're telling you the truth?
Truth, well,
Yeah.
Yeah, just Yeah. That's good.
I think welcoming.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that's.
You want to feel welcome.
Did you don't want to go somewhere and don't feel like they don't even care about like so.
That they care about you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Success.
Success,
Like, Rafa says, you know, like, oh yeah, I didn't want to, have a car because it made me feel like as success people.
Yeah, successful.
Successful.
Make people successful.
I want to feel like trust with the salesman, the environment as well. Like when you get in the business, like, or because I for my fellow friends, this location, I'm finding like a good prices.
Let's see, so how can we put that into our
Tone, I don't know if this fits, does value?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good value.
Good value, yeah.
Well, valued as a person.
Oh, but is it valued as a person, or like they have a good selection, like I was able to find what I wanted? Is it more like valued as a person, or?
There's no right or wrong.
I'm gonna buy a car, I'm gonna feel like the people see right here, like saying welcoming, but I want to feel like trust.
Yeah.
I'm gonna trust with it.
Yeah,
God.
Yeah.
That's right.
And,
That's right. Trust.
Yeah.
Just right. Trusted or trust.
What do you think, James?
That's true.
Like safe.
Oh, safe.
Yeah.
I think I bought a car for my daughter. The main thing is, did we say
Yeah, what was I doing yesterday? I was texting my kids in the snowstorm, like, make sure you leave extra stopping distance, be careful, right? Care about our kids.
Yes.
the bill?
Fulfilled. Sweet. F-U-L. You picked that in your
Nice.
F-I.
We don't know, I don't know how to spell it.
Luckily, spelling doesn't really matter in life anymore.
That's right.
Probably
Luckily, we got spell check.
Some whiteboards don't have
Yeah.
autocorrect.
I need,
That's right.
can we just do emojis?
Yeah, there you go. Okay. That's just this thing. Cool. There's a handful of positive emotions that I would say people want to feel in general. I mean, we came up with them because they're important to us. I'd say, again, just like we're talking about, maybe for me personally, there's 2 or 3 that matter the most. They all don't fit. Here's my question for all of us, and we want to just spend the last 5 minutes or so talking, just brainstorming about this. I don't have an answer really that I'm trying to get us to, but if we just said that as a group, consumers want to feel these types of emotions to lead them to that decision to buy it, to spend their money with us in our store on that car, what are things that we can continually do to promote those emotions out of the people we're with? And I just want to brainstorm and talk about those ideas.
So are you saying specific actions that we?
Specific actions, yeah, that I could do when I'm working with JD, let's say JD walks into my dealership. What can I do throughout the process? Not just the moment he walks in, but starting the first time that we see each other to when he's leaving, hopefully with temporary permit, and saying, hey man, thanks a lot, I really appreciate it. Throughout that whole process, what are specific things that we can do to make these emotions bigger with the people we're working with?
Keep the same exciting that you're welcoming the customer, like from the start to the end.
Okay.
So just keep the same now because I already got the sales, like, okay, whatever, I already got the sales now, I don't care what you do anymore. So.
I think that's brilliant. I know I've done that. I first meet them and I'm this like energetic high person, but then kind of once I know it's done, maybe I'm not trying as hard because it's like, man, they're already buying the car. I should maintain that the whole way, right? I think I've done that.
I know that, reviews are selling cars. Customers, after we sold the car, we sometimes in that process, we promise a lot of things. Just, think about what you promised. Because what happened after you sold the car, a week later, all of those promises never happened. And come to you, and most of the time, we just been, as he said, we different. We're not friends anymore. We didn't say, hey, hi, thank you for coming, and we just treat him like different, like a little, hey, I don't know you anymore, you know? That point is hard for me every time, but I still have to do the best that I can. To say, okay, no problem, let's do it right now, let's do this, and be friends, because otherwise, right there you lose a customer forever.
And you don't just lose the customer, but you lose the referral.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, that happens to me with that lady that I sold the hand salad from Mila. She's the one that traded the 2012 Grand Caravan. The reason she was trading in is she's looking for something with better gas mileage, right? And that car was perfect for her. She wasn't happy about it, the whole process, the whole thing, you know, getting approval with Evo and everything. By the way, we sold her 1, 2, 3 Evo. And she's like, you know what, I'm gonna start bringing you lunches every weekend.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, yeah, for sure. I'll take it, why not?
That was some good report.
Okay.
Ross?
Yeah, I've always had in my mind, like you're saying, like treat customers at first, as your family when you do business, you know. Because if you treat the customer, it has to use your family, you're gonna keep like forever those customers, keep it forever. You know, because when I prefer what to say, like customers, when they feel good with like your family, you know, like they're gonna trust in you. Even they're gonna buy parts from you, even they don't drive the car, but they're gonna drive the car because they trust in you.
Perfect. Great.
One thing with, this is probably getting too psychological about it, but I'm huge on, like you said, I'm excited, keep that excitement up. Not if the people are not exciting people. Like, you want to mirror that person. Like, I go as far, I know it's stupid, I go as far as like their hands are in their pockets, I'll put my hands in my pockets while I'm talking.
Oh, that's a real thing, I do
I'll
that.
put my hands
I
here.
mimic body language with customers a lot, especially once we're like in an office setting.
Yeah, well, and like, you know, because I don't know, I'm fairly good at picking up like on vibes. And so like, if I know that they're not in the mood to like hear jokes and joke around, it's like I'm trying to be, nobody likes someone more than they like themselves. So if they subconsciously see themselves in you, they're gonna subconsciously like you, like whatever it is. I'm not saying do the shop for smoking, like, hey, can I bum one? You know? But whatever, I mean, I'll do whatever this month, I don't care, you know what I mean? I'll pick up smoking, it's fine.
Well, I'm glad you said that because, you know, we're talking about kind of tailoring what we do to the person that we're with. And you're right, if it's an analytical computer programmer, and we don't want to be like over the top excited with them because it's going to make them uncomfortable.
Well, it's just like the windover guy, you know? It was like every 5 words was a swear word. Like, I know swear words.
Like, I can play this game.
And I did. Like, I got an earful. But like I had two older people that came in, you know, that were talking about their family and stuff like that. So I started talking about my family, you know? You just listen to what and watch them.
You were a detective, dude. Nice. Other ideas, ways that we can create these emotions throughout the process.
Have fun. I mean, and it's super simple and easy. Just give the people an enthusiastic greeting as soon as they arrive. You know, just like, so we see them, we walk out, hey, welcome to Automax. Thanks for stopping by. You know, so that they feel like, hey, welcome to my house. I know this is scary. You know, I'm a big bad wolf. I'm a car salesman. But welcome. I'm nice. And we're not like everyone else. I appreciate you. You know, the first sales book I ever read is called The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. I think some of you probably has read it. The first, or I think the second scroll is, I will greet this day with love in my heart. And when I greet a customer, I will say, I love you, silently and in my mind. It's like, welcome to Automax. You know, but I love you. And just let them feel like you know.
This idea of like you're welcoming them into your home is helpful for me. And this is gonna sound corny. Imagine you're like, what was that movie Tom Hanks when he was stranded on the island?
Castaway.
Castaway. Imagine how happy you are to see a human being after being Tom Hanks on that island. Try to pretend like that's how excited we are when we see that person out on the lot. And then that will hopefully cast out some of that negativity that I know we often feel, like I go out in the cold, this person's going to blah, blah, blah. We start having all these negative talks.
Or they don't have good credit.
Yeah. And again, not to be negative, and I love you guys, but I've been hanging out with some of you, and I hear you say it. And if you're willing to think it, it already makes your job harder. If you're willing to say it to yourself, even worse. If you're willing to say it out loud when you're standing there, you're shooting yourself in the foot. It's a lot harder. So, you know, if we try to look at it, hey, I love you, welcome to my home, I'm so happy to see you, I haven't seen a human being in 18 years, or however long Tom Hanks was there. That's going to
Swear to God, I'm going to greet the next customer like that.
Wilson! Wilson! Coming down, Max, I love you! Okay, never mind, don't take it that.
No.
18 years. Don't be afraid to bring up the elephant in the room. What I mean by that is when you're doing your Sherlock Holmes, that's great, you know, for deducing things. But if you're talking to him and the guy's standing like this, hey, you busy, man? You got to be somewhere to be? It's okay. I just want you to be happy, you know, like just don't be afraid to because you can push through that wall.
Like just bringing it out by opening it.
Yeah. I mean, whatever it is.
Seems like you're in a hurry today.
Yeah. Hey, no, that's cool, man. We're here to do whatever you want, you know. But it's funny how there's a weird little story. I'll just share really quick. I was coming out of a priesthood session, general conference with a buddy of mine, and we had all the people out there protesting, right? They're protesting the church and like temple governments up on the freaking, you know, out waving them around and telling me, yelling at everyone. And I look over here and I saw a bunch of people that just came out of priesthood session and they're like, have their Bibles out and they're yelling at the other guys, right? You know, and I was just trying to avoid it, but I'm like, buddy, we're walking out and this guy just hits us up and starts yelling at us, right? And my friend, he stops and he goes, hey man, you know what? He's like, I've been in your shoes and I respect what you're doing. And the guy's like, what? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, I had to go somewhere for 2 years and, you know, and talk to people and they were yelling at me and they'd shut the door in my face and spit at me, you know. He's like, you believe what you believe, man, and I think that's awesome you're trying to share with other people, right? And dude, the guy just changed. And he's like, yeah, hey, thank you so much for saying that. And we like shook each other's hands, right? And we're like, all right, man. And then I look back and there was like a good 30 seconds where the guy was just like kind of standing there stunned. And then he snapped out of it and he started yelling again and like waving stuff around, right? But I was thinking how powerful would it have been if like every single person that came out would have greeted those people the same way when there was that difference, respect, right? With respect. But they weren't afraid that they're, you know, sometimes we're afraid to, you know, just acknowledge the elephant in the room. Hey, you know what? I know that you hate this experience. It's okay, man. It's okay you hate it. You feel all these weird feelings and stuff. The awesome part is you came here and it's different.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that's powerful.
That's okay. Let me say anything. All right, well, yeah. I just want to say we're all doing good. We have a ton of great things going. If we are willing to experiment and try these new things, we'll find even higher levels of success. So please don't leave here and forget about it. Go try it. Go experiment with it. Have some fun with it. We appreciate all of you guys. And let's do our work right.
To be detectives!
¿Quién nos manda líder?
Hey, John, did you share that, bro? Oh my gosh, dude.
What the hell? I guess he was here to use it.
Oh, you're going to do that?
How fast is
Dude. Yes.
It's like, you know that, right?
You know the short It's really weird.
Do it.
You will be. Actually, on one side. You gotta get on the
You're good.
No, it's not that. It's not. It's like just give me more problems that I have to resolve. Give me more. You know, with good issue.
All right, you guys ready? We gotta go catch an airplane. Yeah, you guys gotta fly. Let's go. Where's Quicker? Can you do it?
Oh yeah, let's do it, man. We are motivated, skilled, united.
One more?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Motivated, skilled, united.
There we go.
Right.
Okay, ours is in there. Okay, you go switch.
Thanks for the precision, man.
You know how much white people like to do now. I wrote it part of this.
What's up?
Aquí debe estar para manejarla. No, no prende.
No,